Hello and welcome everybody to a very unofficial Counter Monkey. For you Spony fans out there, please don't kill me yet. Let me explain why I decided to title this Counter Monkey, which is, first of all, despite the fact this is not Spony telling the story, the reason why I am crediting this as Counter Monkey is because I've learned a lot from Nora and Twyla, aka the Spoonie one. And there's some stuff that I learned from his Counter Monkey videos that I managed to implement with this campaign that I like to talk about. And this is something that I wanted to share with people because I'm a bit of a new DM. I've done sort of role plays but never D20. And I wanted to do something special for Halloween with my friends. Something that allows me to build up my acting skills, which role playing is improvisation, so there you go. And what happened is we were going through a D&D campaign, and I was getting really stale of it. I was already getting stale of it. I actually fell asleep during one of the sessions. To me, D&D really didn't seem like my kind of thing. And then I knew that there was a D20 Hellboy system, which I'm considering trying out next. I know there's a Star Wars one, and I got to thinking, what if there's an Aliens one, which would be freaking intense? Guess what? There is. It turns out it's fan-made, and, well, it's a PDF, so you can find it on the internet. Just type in D20 Aliens Guide, you'll find it real fast. It's actually called Aliens Game Over. It is an unofficial campaign guide to the Aliens universe for D20 Modern. Now, me being stupid, the second I find this and I start looking at it, I skipped over the first few pages. I had no idea this is for D20 Modern. And, thus, basically, I got so excited over it, I started coming up with a campaign. I started looking over the different effects and planets and such that I completely skipped and just, well, as a friend of mine already explained, I'd have to restart everything over just to get things back on track properly. And my argument to that is that a part of this is fan-made, and I'm going with the Pirate's Code with this, which is I use it more like guidelines, mostly for like dice rolls and such and effects, because reading through this, whoever wrote this, I'm sure their name is in there somewhere. Yes, I spent $13 printing this thing out at my library, by the way. But anywho, they try to implicate every single media from Aliens into this roleplay guide. And that doesn't really work. I'll give it this much. I did like the fact that you have to specifically choose a timeline for your campaign, because there's a lot in the Aliens universe. Alien vs. Predator was 2004. Requiem, which I'm going to sweep under the rug, was supposed to be around the same time as that. Let's see, if I'm not mistaken, Alien takes place in 2122, and or actually probably 2222, and I know that Aliens takes place in 2279. And then 200 years later, we have Alien Resurrection. And that's the thing that was enough for me. Is like, okay, I know these time periods because they're in the movies. But this guide includes the comic books, and oddly enough, the action figures. Okay, I can get them going there for inspirational stuff, but if you've read the comics, you know that they conflict a lot in many ways. And on top of that, they're trying to bring in the action figures, which were never fully explained. They weren't supposed to be. They were supposed to be just something cool. It's because they were trying to get a cartoon pilot going, and they discovered, well, we can't go with anything from Aliens because inevitably something's going to die. But we'll still make the toys. They're selling. So yeah, that's where the toys came from. And they had little pocket comic books, which showed how violent they would have been anyway. The thing was, though, you think about things, and they never explain how they're made. Like let's think of something that a facehugger couldn't possibly get onto. apart like the arachnid alien. Right? There's no way that it's gonna face hump a spider. The mantis alien, that one too. And that's where I got a little more creative. Believe it or not, I managed to work a mantis alien into my campaign, but I'll explain how. So, the thing is, I'm using it more for guidelines more than anything else, and I'm going with mostly D20 D&D rules. Using whatever I can. In fact, online I also found character sheets that, where's mine? Okay, I found these character sheets. I think these belong to the original D20 system that was made in '93, which, oh man, I haven't had a chance to read it. I read some really bad reviews for it, so it's probably a good thing it's gone. The only thing that sucks is that it came with miniatures. Well, you could buy miniatures for it that were really, really cool, but they're rare as hell now. If you Google it, you will see pictures of them, but you will not find one set to buy. But anyway, there are knockoffs, but they are extremely expensive, like 7 quid from England, which is, well, it's a lot. But anywho, well, for one piece. Yeah. So as you can tell, what I decided to do was I came up with a quick story. In fact, it just came out of nowhere. It's something I thought of before, where I kept telling people, if you want to make a good Aliens game, and this is because of Colonial Marines, I said, if you want to make a good Aliens game, use the formula from Dead Space and just replace the Necromorphs with Aliens lore. And I think they would work pretty well. I mean, there's something that I've noticed a lot of game companies have learned is, it's okay to copy another game as long as it's good. I mean, and granted, we tend to snap when they copy a game badly. But if they do a good job, then we'll get somewhere with it. Look at Colonial Marines. They copied fucking Call of Duty, and what did we get? A shitty game regardless. But anywho, so I decided to come up with a quick campaign. I made a handful of NPCs. I knew what my premises was. I wanted to have I wanted my group to go through a giant spaceship and then eventually lead to a planet's surface. Originally I was going to do like an ice world, but I remembered that even though it's not really covered in this, aliens are they don't like the cold. In the comics and in the books, they really imply that they stay away from it, and it's even implied in Aliens because they like they nest underneath the main cooling towers, where it's nice and warm. Hot as hell in here. Yeah, man, it's a dry heat. Well, anywho. So, I at least got my premise down. I decided to use the first Dead Space game, basically, as an outline. And one of the first problems I had was my friend looks through this, and he wants to be a combat synthetic with guerrilla warfare tactics. I instantly turned it down for 2 reasons. One, combat synthetics, by the way, the time we're using is the Aliens time. So it'd be around 2179, or 2279, whichever it is. Someone will correct me in the comics, I'm sure. But anyway, he wanted to be a combat synthetic with guerrilla warfare tactics. Now, the combat synthetic that's covered in this is not from Alien vs. Predator 2. Which is weird. Yeah, they cover some of the stuff from the video games, mostly like planets and areas, and even some of the weapons. They don't cover Alien vs. Predator 2 or 1, for that matter. They just mention it. In fact, the Predaliens aren't even in this. They mention Predators, but there's no Predaliens in this. I know there's a D20 Predator system. I haven't had a chance to look through it yet, but I'll laugh if it's in there. So, anyway, the thing is that the combat synthetic mentioned in this is from the comic book Stronghold. It even mentions it in its references, which means he wanted to play as a 10-foot tall gold android with a plasma rifle that was basically indestructible to aliens. And I instantly turned it down because I wanted this to be a survival game, not something that you just it's not like D&D where you want to build yourself up into almost like a god status. No, this is about seeing if you can get through this scenario alive. And I turn him down, and I get into a little bit of an argument with one of my friends. You can't tell a person what they can and can't do in a campaign. Yes, you can. Thank you, Spoonie. This is part of the reason why I'm shouting this out to you. I learned from you. You can, especially if it's necessary. One of the problems that I have in this, too, that I'm sure even he'd agree with, is that some of the stats for some of the aliens and some of the synthetics. And I'm kind of going to work around it a bit. So, again, guidelines. So, anyway, when he wants to be a synthetic, a service synthetic. And I love how I had to argue because, oh, Bishop was a combat synthetic. No, he was not. He was a service synthetic under the service of the USCM. But he's still a combat synthetic. No, he's not. He can use a gun. Yes, he can. It doesn't make him a combat synthetic. So, he wants to be a synthetic. And I immediately tell him, you might want to choose another person. And it's not because I'm trying to get him out of being a synthetic because he has a boost to most of his stats because of it. Except for durability. No, the reason why I don't want him to play as one is because I know him. I know my friend too well. He likes to backtalk people, especially in D&D. That's the kind of character he likes to be, is someone that's kind of snarky. You can't do that as a synthetic. Somebody tells you to do something, you have to do it. It's the 3 laws of robotics. And after another 10 minutes of arguing, he decided to become basically a standard infantry for the Marines. And the first campaign that I tried to run with the first group, it's out in the water right now. I don't know if we're going to continue it or not. We had one session, they had to leave, and we've never had another session since. And this is like 3 weeks ago. Even though they keep telling me that we're going to play again sooner or later. And I was worried that maybe it's because of my DMing skills, but I've learned from another group, no, it isn't. But anyway, so the first campaign is that they're on basically a smaller ship like the Sulaco. It's just smaller. It's not meant to be anything more than a repair mission. They're sent out to a planet that I named LV-287. And I decided to model it off of Mars. It's being terraformed. It just got its atmospheric processor going, so the air's not totally breathable yet. And Weyland-Yutani sends this group of 5 Marines and 2 engineers to fix the antenna array of the Weyland-Yutani Messenger, which is supposed to be the biggest ship in the fleet. Well, at least in my roleplay it is. And I completely modeled it off the Ishimura. I just changed around a few rooms in some of the subsections. And it's perfect. It's not a mining ship. It's just a very large cargo freighter meant to bring in passengers and supplies. And basically, the briefing is that when they're sent there because the ship and the colony have lost total communication wipeout, and they think it's just a down transmitter, there's no reason for concern right now. So they send in at least an escort team of 5 Marines, a synthetic, which after I talked Donza out of being well, I'm going to call him Donza. We usually this is like his nickname, but. After I talked him out of it, I brought in the Bishop synthetic. Clear as day, easy to go by, easy to bring into the campaign. So anyway, what happens is they go on board. Well, they try to. The pilot tries to bring in the dropship. The gravity tethers. The guidance system fails. They crash the dropship into the landing bay, but not hard enough for it to explode. They come out, and the group is separated when they go into the intermission room. There's some dialogue. They start getting an idea of how eerie it is. Like there's stuff strewn all over the lobby, but there's no people. And then suddenly there's a quarantine that activates, and one of the Marines is dragged to the event. Now here's where I think I was kind of being a little mean. I did not tell them all the names of the Marines. 2 of my friends are playing Marines. At the time, I had an engineer character that I was using for myself, and the other person was using the other engineer. Now, the funny thing was, I was just using this mostly to separate my character from them, so that I could just bring him in later if they needed some extra help. But I named the names of the 3 NPC Marines that were still with them was Sergeant Alyssa Gibbs, who I even just flat out told her I based her off Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell. even though her name, and you could probably guess from NCIS. But I'll explain her character a little more because it works better with the other group that I used. So the other ones were Kincaid, which is their medic, who I've shamefully have given no personality to, but I haven't really had any time to develop them. The rest of the group keeps forgetting about her, but she's the medic. And then there is Private Wilson. The second I identified him, my friend goes, "Oh, he is so dead. Anyone named Private Wilson is going to die." And I'm the kind of guy who, and to be honest, he was going to die. He was going to die first. But, I like to spite people, especially when I'm supposed to be dictating how this game goes. I'm the dungeon master, or the campaign, I don't know how you put it for aliens, but you get my position, basically. So, when the alien attacks, instead of going after Wilson like I originally did, I had him off Kincaid. So there goes their health packs. They get separated, they run, and I'm not satisfied with just getting my character away, because I play a lot of survival horror games, and I know a big key to any kind of tension is separating the group. So I separate one guy. He ends up in the cargo hold, and I decide while he's there he can start getting some idea of what's there, and get spooked out. I trick him into going onto the tram while the rest were locked out of it. They go up to the control room. They find all the PDTs are mostly located towards the ship's reactor, and that's about as far as we got. So because one guy had to leave for work, and he was the right for the rest of the group. So, and I wasn't very happy because it was kind of dragging mostly. The only person that was really into it was the girl playing the other engineer. Well, the other one guy was sick. Dweezil, my dog. Yeah, his allergies are getting to him. You done yet? No. Yeah, it's fall here. And hello, Wesker. Anywho. So, Donza really didn't seem like he was interested in the campaign, and I was really worried about that. He didn't take anything seriously, and he was metagaming, which I am starting to really crack down on now. If you start metagaming, which is you start acting like you would after you've seen the movie, the characters can't possibly know about this stuff right now, because this is the first time they've ever come across or heard of it. But there was a part where he's looking around and suddenly he sees something long and pink, like a tail, go by a corner, and he goes, "Nope, I'm not going by it." Even though the sergeant ordered him to go check it out, he said, "Nope, I'm not going to do it." And I tell him, "You're disobeying a direct order." "I know what it is. It's either a chest burster or a face hugger." And I go, "Dude, you don't want to piss her off." That was my idea, was to keep it in the context of the game. Like, you know how your sergeant's going to react if you don't handle this. He goes, "Fine," and which just instantly cued me off that he's really not into it. His character goes to check it out, and it's just a big rat. And that was my intention the whole time, was that it'd just be a big rat. I'm trying to get them nervous. And like I said, it didn't really seem to work out with the first group. The second group, I used the same premise. And I was really shocked at how the players chose their classes for this one. I decided to change my character and generate a new one, so he's just another Marine. Another friend of mine became a Marine. He wanted to be a smart gunner. He loves Drake and Vasquez, so he wants to be a smart gunner. And even in this, they pretty much... you got to be careful with smart gunners, because while their aim is greatly improved, because if you know the smart gunner, their dexterity is kind of crippled. It does not mention the pull cord, though, in the book, which is what Drake used in the movie when he ran out of ammo. So I made it so that if he uses the pull cord, he gets all of his dexterity back, but he can never have that smart gun again. Mostly because, depending on the circumstances, he probably won't get it back to begin with. But he's okay with that. So there's two Marines that are player controlled. And I still have all the same NPCs as before. One of my friends wants to basically be Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll at least let him get started with it anyway. I'm not going to give him, the whole treatment. The last one was who shocked me. He did not choose to be a Marine, a synthetic, or a corporate engineer, anything like that you expect to be combat capable. He chose to be a corporate representative. I was really shocked over this. We have a player-controlled version of Burke from Aliens. It was funny. And everyone got into their characters. Everyone was role-playing this, man. It was awesome. You got the two Marines, that one I'm playing and one that he's playing, and we're hamming it up. We're laughing at shit. Our sergeant is, which she has her own issues. She's hardcore. I made her basically to save our asses if anything goes too wrong, because I don't want people to die right away. Because even though the standard alien in this is recommended for level 8 players, I'm kind of dumbing it down a little bit. But because, come on, you have to go through 8 levels before you come across one alien, and including the face hugger. Yeah, I think we're gonna pass on that. We're just gonna skip the good stuff. It's what we want. We're in college. We want it fast. We want it now. So anyway, we go through the same approaches with the first campaign. They arrive. They come to the messenger. The ship crashes and kills the pilots. And this time, it's the engineer who's separated, and he has Bishop with him while the others run away. And we're doing fear rolls now because it's something that's brought up in here. And I thought, yeah, it's a good idea because let's see if how we can get through the aliens with panic. And it's kind of funny. The first alien attack, and this time it did kill Wilson. We rolled our panic rolls. The corporate and the engineer, they succeeded in keeping their shit together, while it's the two Marines that are player controlled that start freaking out. But they get away, we recover from it, we're separated, we're trying to get back together, and what happens is they keep going, and like I said, I'm the kind of guy who will spite you if you start trying to predict my game. So what happens is, I forgot what exactly my friend who's playing the engineer said, but it was something about being attacked when he gets through the door that he was about to enter. What did I do? I had an alien burst out of the floor behind him and grab him and pull him into the floorboards. And I rolled for Bishop. Bishop managed to get a hold of him, but he couldn't save him, and he let go and he got dragged underneath. I explicitly told them, if the aliens pull you onto the floor, into the ceiling, or into any vents, it's an instant death. You're not going to be able to get away from them, and you're going to end up in the hive with a chest burster in a few minutes. But this is about an hour or so into our campaign, and I thought, that's too fast. It's not fair for me to do that. So I unintentionally made a whole separate campaign within a few minutes for him. What happened was the alien drags him under. It's starting to pull him toward the nest as he's kicking and screaming. But suddenly it loses its footing on what it's climbing on. It drops him. He ends up on basically a nasty water slide and ends up at the bottom of the ship where all the waste is processed. Now, bear in mind, I just said waste. I never said what was in it. And he's already saying, "Oh my god, I'm waist high and shit, aren't I?" I go, "Well, do a spot check." He fails the spot check. The only thing he can see are the little red pulsing lights on the sides of the walls that are near the ceiling. He's getting vague shadows, but he can't make anything out. And I systematically go back to him and go back to the other group as they're trying to find information on the crew. And they find, yes, before. Most of them are near the reactor. And the funny thing was that my friend is like, "Well, can I call everyone?" I go, "Do a search check." He fails his first search check for his headphone. Well, for his headset. It's gone. He lost it while going down the water slide of doom, as I put it now. And he does another search check. He lost his cutting torch, so he can't weld doors behind him. The only thing he did have on it was his repair kit. Better than nothing, right? So he's walking around blindly in basically the sewers of the ship. And it's so funny because he's like, oh man, maybe it's a good thing I can't see where I'm going, but I can't find my way out. So he keeps rolling spot checks and fails. I give him a 3-turn lead before that alien finally drops into the sewer behind him. Elsewhere, our Marines, we're mostly getting the arguments, and my character, it's just so funny because people are freaking out and they're in character over it. It was great. Even the corporate ended up losing his shit at one point because of the rat. He didn't see the rat, so that's why he had a panic, because he assumed it was something else. And my friend, who's playing the smart gunner, I had him do a reflex roll, well, at least initiative. The rat bit him. I'm deciding if it should be any kind of consequence, but basically he cornered the rat, it jumped out and bit him and ran off. It's probably not, because let's face it, they got enough stuff to deal with already. What happens to my friend in the sewer, however, the alien drops in behind him. He at least got his perception check, and he heard it. And instantly, he's like, oh god, I need to run away, what do I do? Go, roll for it. He rolls his dice, he gets a 20. So he's high-kneeing it through waist-high water, trying to run it as fast as he can from that alien that just dropped in the water behind him. He's a good 30 feet away from it at least. And basically we went through a D20 version of Amnesia. You know, the tunnel chase scene? It was great. That's exactly how I was picturing it, because he couldn't see anything. He couldn't see the alien behind him. He could just hear it. He could just hear it splashing in the water. It was just so great. He's like, oh my god. And he does this for like 2 turns. He gets hurt when he tries to climb a bunch of strewn garbage that's in the sewer. And he falls. He slips and falls. Because he rolled a 1. And he took a point of damage from falling on something. But he's fine still, basically. But he finally gets his perception check. He finds a ladder, and as soon as he's trying to climb, I'm like, roll. He rolls, he fails, he slips. And right there I knew he, again, should die. But it's still early in our campaign, and I don't think that's fair still. So I made it so that he slips, but he catches one of the rungs underneath it, and the alien grabs him by the ankle. And it's so funny, because yeah, as soon as I say the alien's got you by the... Well, I shouldn't even identify it as the alien. Well, we know what it is, even though his character does not. So it grabs him by the ankle, and he's freaking out going, oh my god! He's rolling the D20. He rolled it so hard that it fucking bounced off the table and onto the floor. I gave it back to him. He rolled it again, and this time it actually rolled so hard that it actually went off the edge again. We're like, god damn it, man, calm down. So then he finally rolls it, and he manages to at least get a save to kick off of it, and then climb up the ladder. And I had some mercy there. He found a cutting torch so he could weld the hatch shut. And even I explained to him, it's only going to hold it for a few minutes, so you might want to get going. And he does. And he comes out, he does he's like, man, I probably smell like shit right now. I tell him to roll to look himself over. He does. He finds that he's mostly covered in blood and alien goo. And he's like, how did this happen? And I go, well, you'll find out as you keep playing. And I do have an ulterior motive as to why the sewers are the way they are. So the other group, they have a fix on where he is now. He's in the cargo hold. It's where he managed to get out. So what happens is they try to take the tram that's built into the ship to go there, and as they're waiting for it to come, I'm like, roll. And most of them right away just roll, because they know that something is about to happen now. And everyone but the corporates succeeded in basically to jump out of the way, a reflex roll. And so our Marines and the Sarge, who, her name is Sergeant Gibbs. I named her Mama Bear. I nicknamed her Mama Bear. The reason why is because her character is very protective of her platoon. And she's willing to die for them. She's going to do anything she can to help them. But I'm making it a point, too, is that she cares about the other Marines. She does not care about the corporates. So that's going to come into play later. And she has her own little secret, too, that I came up with her that I thought would be good for shock value and at the same time be really cool for her to have. It's why some of her stats are a lot higher than ours. And like they're wondering why she has advanced reflexes and etc. And I'm like, well, we'll play, you might find out. So, anyway, they all jump out of the way, and this is the first alien they actually see in light, is the mantis alien that I mentioned earlier in the book. It lands behind them, and I exaggerated a little bit, meaning it's more like the size of a Praetorian than it is in like the action figures. And when it lands, it knocks the corporate off his feet. I was going to have it so he could have died there, but again, this is our first session, and we're like 2, maybe 3 hours in. So he gets hit with the shockwave and moves out of the way, and they see the big ass mantis alien. I kind of redesigned it a little bit because it's not born from a mantis. They're going to find that it's born from a creature that's native to the planet below. That just happens to be kind of a mantis shape, and it's not actually very docile. But what happens is it gets the initiative. We all rolled. It got the first strike, and it has cleave. And this is so I roll for its attack. No one could beat it, and I got worried because the damage for it. Hold on. Again, I'm using this as guidelines, so I know that things aren't totally right. Where is aliens? Mantis alien, mantis alien. Queen, Praetorian, drone, chestburster. Wait, where's the part on the hybrids? Hybrids. See, there's a whole chapter devoted to the alien queen. They made her way overcomplicated, in my opinion. Like, there's 5 forms for her. There should only be 1. Alright, mantis alien. Okay, so it managed to. It has a +1 plus dex to its initiative. And it's able to move at 20 feet per second. Well, per turn. But here's the thing. Its damage for its claw attack is a d10 plus 6. Apart from the fact that it's. And again, it has. It has cleave with the attack. It's basically just a big bladed arm, and it attacks. And we all have. Well, the Marines have about have 30 points of health. The corporate has 25, and I thought I was being kind of fair with it. And I kind of changed around the rules of the armor for Marines because we know that if acid gets on it, you can take it off. We saw it in the movie. It doesn't mention that at all in this game. But, and I decided to make that more of a bigger part in the game. It's like, if one of them gets acid on their armor, then they can take it off and it'll save them from being burnt once. Unless they find more. But, okay. So the point is that our health points are already a little low from the crash. We all took at least 5 points of damage from it when it first crashed because we hit our heads on the harnesses. And I forgot what it was else that happened. There was something else that happened that got most of us injured. The point was, in one turn, this thing probably could have killed all of us in one go. Or at least 2 of us. And I thought, it's still way too early for that. It's also way too early to unveil the Sarge's secret. But it was sink or swim, in my opinion. And I think that I still got the reaction that I wanted out of them with it, which is it swings its claw, and the sergeant literally just holds up both arms. She just holds them up and blocks it, and it knocks her into everyone else, and they just take a point of damage each from the impact. Again, new DM. I'm using this more for guidelines until I'm ready to try again with full D20 rules. And even then, I'm still going to change some of this stuff because it's not accurate. But anyway, so she blocks it. And they're all, oh man, is she going to be alright? She must have taken off both of her arms. What happens? She gets up, I have her roll for an attack, and she gets up and she punches it right in the mouth and makes it lose a few teeth. And it actually is so stunned and surprised by this, it actually backed off from the fight. And they're going, how did she do that? And my friend is the corporate, the one who's playing the corporate. He goes, "Is she a synthetic?" I look at him and go, "She was drinking coffee, dude." And he goes, "Then what is she?" And his reaction was so good. And my other friend is like, "Sarge, how did you do that?" And she's already trying to hide her arm. She's already trying to bandage it with a little bandage set. But one of them managed to get their spot check right away, and they can see metal under her arms. And and instantly, right there, my friend, he didn't get the perception, but when the character said, "Oh my God, there's metal under her skin," and even though this is exactly where I was going with it, I was surprised, but he instantly goes, "Her arms are prosthetic," and I'm like, wow, he picked up. Wow, I thought I was gonna have to explain this, but nope, he figured it out real fast. And I also explained that the reason why she has heightened reflexes is because there's an interface for her arms that goes into her spine, and it's also been rigged to give her more of an edge. So she's able to go toe-to-toe with a few enemies. And it doesn't mean she can't die, though. I'm making that clear. I've made it very clear that if she's going to die, she's probably going to die trying to save one of them, so be careful. And the shock value was great. It was like an iRobot. I'm not going to spoil which scene if you haven't seen it yet, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The iRobot reaction out of the other players was just great. So they go to the cargo hold looking for him, for the engineer, he's stuck in a maze of giant cargo containers, and he knows that alien is still looking for him now. I pretty much told him by now it would have got out. And your character would kind of know it from the rate of the dents in the door. So as he's wandering around, and they show up, and they're not sure where to find him. And then we had to break off because we had to go to work. So in classic form, I left it at a cliffhanger where I was like, they see something. We all did spot checks, and all we saw was just darkness and whatever we could see in the flashlights. But the corporate, of all people, succeeded with his spot check. He looks up, and his character sees 3 or 4 alien warriors crawling over the containers and about to ambush us. And then I cut off his turn, and I go to the engineer. He rolls a spot check. He can see a couple of those aliens climbing containers, and he's in shock and horror because this is the first time he's ever seen the thing. And just when he's describing that, I go, "You're feeling something on top of your head. You're feeling little heavy droplets." And he says, I look up, and sure enough, there's the alien from the sewer on the wall behind him, getting ready to pounce on him. I go, and we'll pick up next time. Instantly, everyone's, what? Oh, come on! But we had to go to work. That was the main thing. But I left it at a cliffhanger, and everyone wants to come back now. We're going to have our next session this week coming up. I think it's going to get really good. I got some good ideas on what's going to happen. So yeah, there is my unofficial counter monkey video. I hope no one gets angry over this. I hope Noah Antweiler, if you watch this, thank you for doing your show, Counter Monkey. I've learned quite a bit from you. If you have your own advice, especially since I know I'm not officially playing it the way it should be, but if there's anything else that you want to advise, that'd be great. If you say I should hang up the coat and redo the whole thing, then maybe I will if it gets out of control. But for the most part, I just want to do this for Halloween. I probably won't DM another session like this again for quite some time, unless it becomes that in demand. But I thought it was just appropriate for Halloween to do a horror-based roleplay. So yeah, again, if you have not seen Counter Monkey, please do. Mostly because his Spoony One's stories about his travels, as you could call them, they're hilarious sometimes. So, especially, I love his story about Vegan Steve and his Call of Cthulhu stories. There's a few other ones too, but I've learned a lot about how to catch them off guard, how to make them scared of their opponent. Because believe me, they were afraid of just one alien now, but in that campaign. And I'm going to make sure that this keeps up. So, thanks for watching. If you really hate the fact that I labeled this as a unofficial counter monkey video, then I won't call it that next time. But hey, just leave me the feedback, and I'll keep doing this until it's game over, man. And maybe this will give you some relief that there's another game going on besides Colonial Marines. Even like I said, even though this is not totally accurate to the movies or the video games guidelines of anything. If you're a newbie to D&D, this seems to be just basic D&D rules seem to work out. And anything that doesn't work out, you can improvise. And that's about it. If anything, it's free. So look it up. Thanks for watching. Bye.